You're listening to the Journey Podcast. Can somatic therapy unlock our body's natural healing abilities? Listen to today's episode for an enlightening conversation on the science and benefits of beam therapy. Hi, I'm Petra Brunbauer, and with decades of experience with sadness, pain, anxiety, and stress, I finally figured out how to leave all that behind. And this podcast shows you how to break free permanently so you can reclaim your sanity and find the self-esteem and energy to go after the life you desire. With real talk about mental health, holistic healing, and the tough journey of coming out the other end. This is the Journey Podcast. Welcome to today's episode. Beam therapy, the Bioenergetic Emotional Access Method, is a holistic approach to healing and wellness that aims to identify and release emotional blockages in the body's energy system. Developed by Dr. J.K. Beattie, this modality draws on principles from various healing traditions, including Chinese medicine, chiropractic, and psychology, to help individuals achieve optimal emotional and spiritual well-being. In this episode, we delve into the fascinating world of beam therapy and explore its potential for promoting holistic healing and emotional well-being. Our guest, an expert in this modality, shares her unique insights and experiences with beam therapy, providing practical tips and strategies for releasing emotional blockages and achieving greater emotional and physical health. Brenda Farrugia has a natural talent for removing blocks, trauma, and harmful interference that hinder clients' progress in life. As an energy healer, Brenda's sessions help support emotional, physical, and mental healing, understanding that each client's journey is unique. Brenda's compassionate and non-judgmental approach creates a safe space for healing on various levels. With over a decade of energy work and 25 years of corporate experience, Brenda can seamlessly bring energy work and valuable tips, promoting a safe and comfortable healing environment for individuals, groups, retreat settings, and corporate gatherings. Brenda is trained in various modalities, and her sessions are customized to meet her clients' needs. Whether you are new to energy work or experienced, Brenda would be honored to join you on your journey toward positive life changes. Without further ado, here is my interview with Brenda Farrugia. Hi, Brenda. It's so great to have you on the podcast today. I've been looking forward to getting to chat with you because beam therapy is such an interesting space for holistic healing. Welcome to the podcast.
Well, thank you for having me, Petra. And if anyone has me talking about beam therapy, as you know, I will not stop talking about it. It's a wonderful modality. It's been around for a long time, but not many people know about it.
Yeah, so that's why I'm really glad that you're here and you're going to share about it so we can get the word out some more. So yeah, do you want to share a little bit about yourself and your story and how you came to find beam therapy?
Yeah, absolutely. So as a child, I had gifts and I could see the light and the dark beings and hear them and they would talk to me, but I didn't understand them. I just figured everyone had that. So when I would ask my mom or friends, they all thought I was a bit strange. So my mom used to say, don't tell anyone because they're going to lock you away. So I kind of hid it and then I kind of got into life and just let it all go. It wasn't until later in life, married with children, I was kind of in a very bad place. And no one would ever know because I had what I would call smiling depression, or that's what Dr. Beattie would say I had. And she was a creator of beam therapy, where the world thinks you're the happiest person, but inside you're just falling apart. So I love sending love to everyone and everything, but I did not know how to accept it. And that was my journey of learning over the years. So when I fell into beam therapy, it was kind of on a dark day where I laid on the floor of my home. I had 2 young children. I was married. And I asked God to either show me what I need to do or take me off the planet because my kidneys were not doing so good and the doctors didn't know what was wrong. And when I woke up the next day, I was still alive. I was like, wow, I'm here. So I must have some reason for being here. That day was the day where I started to see synchronicities, and one thing led to another. In short, because I could go on for a long time, but in short, I ended up being introduced to Dr. Beattie, the creator of beam therapy. Now, it wasn't for me. I would have never put myself first and got help for my issues, but it was for my son, who was behavioral at the time, a beautiful, brilliant boy. But he was very sensitive and very psychic. So, what was happening, I had no idea, was he was being bombarded energetically that he just couldn't function. And he was extremely agitated all the time. So, I was introduced to beam therapy, and another psychic said that beam therapy would help my son. So I contacted Dr. Beattie, and she had a 2-year waiting list. She sent me to a practitioner 2 hours away from my home. I brought my 4-year-old son there at the time. I had no idea what I was getting into because I didn't know about energy work. But within 3 sessions, they sat across her dining room table from each other. I was in the room watching. He was transformed into the loving boy that I knew he was. He was a lot calmer. He listened well. He was happier. He was playing nicer. Teachers were like, "What have you done with this child?" They wanted to drug him at one point. I would never do that. So this modality came into my life at the perfect timing. I was so amazed by it. I contacted Dr. Beattie and said, "What has this done to my son? How did this work?" And over the phone, she said, "You're a mess. You need my help. Come see me. I'm going to work with you and train you." And I had no idea what she was talking about. But my inner being said, "Go." So I did. And she gave me 5 beam sessions. And in those 5 sessions, I used to tell her, "I don't feel anything." She said, "It's because you're so numb and disconnected from who you really are. But there's just miracles happening in your quantum field. So just stay with it." And after my 5th session, there was a love in my heart I have never felt for myself. And my life started to change dramatically. Now, the healing journey is amazing, but there's a lot of ups and downs as you're healing. So I stayed under her care for years, and I mentored with her. I ran her workshops with her. I owe her my life. She saved my life. And over the years, I've learned other modalities. But the reason I love beam therapy is so powerful, yet so simple. And it's run by your higher self. So everyone's going to release what they will benefit from in a very safe manner. Sometimes a little uncomfortable. Sometimes it's very easy for some. We're all very unique on how we release and heal. So just quickly, beam therapy stands for the Bioenergetic Emotional Access Method that was downloaded to Dr. Beattie when she was a fly-in doctor in Africa in her 30s. She brought this method to Toronto and actually used it on patients in her practice for about 50 years. I believe she's still practicing. I've reached out to her. She spends a lot of time up north now, but I do believe she's still taking people. She's wonderful. Where should we go next? I can go into the process. I have so much to say.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's share a little bit about what beam therapy is exactly so that our listeners can get a bit of an idea of what they should imagine this to be like and how does it work when you do that.
Okay. So many of my clients are new to energy work, so they have no idea what to expect. And I didn't either. So, how does something like beam therapy even work when you're just sitting across from someone or even doing it by video conferencing? The neat thing is, we human beings are very multidimensional and we're much more than our physical bodies. We hold experiences, traumas, anything we've ever seen, experienced ourselves, watched on TV, even heard in our mummy's tummies. A lot of us have allergies that we were born with. Why? Because there was trauma when you're in your mom's tummy to your mother, and we associate that with food. So a lot of these experiences, they just don't melt away. They stay in our field. So what beam therapy or how beam therapy works is actually tapping into that field, to that, I'm going to say it's like a mesh of many things. And let me just explain it if you were sitting in front of me as a client. So your higher self is in charge of the beam therapy process. We're going to sit across from each other. A person's higher self will prepare them the night before a session. Now, some people feel the preparation starting up to 3 days before a session. Some people, too, sometimes it's a few hours. We're all very different. But almost think of it like this. You are a perfect diamond. You're already a magnificent being. We're not making you more magnificent or more perfect. What we're doing is getting, releasing, pulling out, dissolving the interference in your field. And that interference has to come out in layers. So it's almost like dense energy that's in the way of who you are. So here you are, a perfect diamond, and we're just muddied by all that stuff we experience as humans. And what beam therapy does is start to pull away that interference so that inner light can start to shine through. Your authentic self shines through. So what's happening is your higher self is going through all aspects of this life, from current to when you were a baby to when you were in your mom's tummy. Everything you've ever experienced is kind of going through, checking to see what is up for release, what is safe for release in the session. So it might be 2% of a trauma you experienced at age 3, 5% of something you experienced at age 7, 100% of something you experienced in your 30s, something that you experienced in your mom's tummy. All that's being kind of shifted through and pulled into what we call the outer layer that is preparing for release. It also goes into things that some people do not or might not understand, but it's into past lives and things like that. The beauty of beam therapy is you don't have to understand it. You just need an open mind. But when a client comes to me, the first thing is they're usually kind of not feeling their best. And I kind of warn them about that because they're in a very icky outer layer, which from my understanding or my feeling, it's like 1,000 different things. But like I said, percentages of. So let's say you had a very traumatic childhood memory. We just can't go in there and rip it out because it would not be safe to do so. Your higher self is going to give us a piece of that memory, a percentage of it that will release in the session, along with everything else it has collected for release. The actual session then starts using phrases. We have 10 phrases, which we get permission from your higher self to use and which ones we're going to use. So the 10, like I'll give you an example. There's physical trauma, there's physical abuse, there's criticism and judgment, self-esteem, resentment, a lot of those things, and there's others. So we'll ask your higher self, do we have permission to use this phrase? Now I have a gift. I can hear the answer of the higher self. So it's not the person doing it. This is not a mental thing between me or the client. It's being run by the client's higher self. We're getting permission to use these phrases. The phrases that are used are then used one at a time. And it's kind of going through different areas of the body. Some of them are chakras. Other ones are just different centers of the body. And when the person or the client is holding these centers, memories, cellular memories that are holding whatever needs to release, start to release and transmute. Now, what happens in essence is your higher self is working with these beings of light that come through me. So I am just the conduit. I am not in charge of this process. Your mental state is not in charge of this process. It is being done by a higher intelligence that you and I can't understand. But one thing I know, and I've been doing this a long time, it is being done with pure love and light. And your higher self is guiding it with such love that everybody who has beam therapy done, from what I've seen, although sometimes a bit of an uncomfortable experience as you're releasing, always feel lighter, more peaceful. And a lot of people will say, like, I just can't explain the feeling that I feel. Like I feel more reconnected. And that is what I felt after I've done many sessions of beam therapy, probably close to 100. And why did I need so much? Because I did. Not everyone needs as much as I did. But I always felt lighter and brighter and more connected. And I was just really pulling out that resistance so my authentic self could shine through. The beauty of it is we don't know what's going to be pulled out. Some people may have an anxiety before they come and they have a feeling of what's in their field. Like, oh, I remember this feeling from when I was 5 years old. It's really up and it's really bothering me. I can't stop crying. Well, that's okay. You feel icky before the session, but after it kind of gets pulled off the earth plane. What these beautiful beings of light do with it, I always say it's for the highest and best. I don't get into that. I always say they always know so much more than we do. I have tried to understand how I have this ability to work with dark energy and release it. And I'm always brought to the same message is you don't have to understand it. Just let us work through you. And perhaps one day I will fully understand what's happening. But the energy of beam therapy, what I find interesting is as it's releasing, I used to get, when I first started doing this, I would get visions of what people were releasing. So I would see the horror movies they saw, the sadness, the things that have happened, the abandonment issues. And a client would leave. And that's when I was doing a lot of free work. I did years of free work for people. They would leave and I would just cry for an hour. Like, that was so sad. So I said, I can't do this work. I mean, how am I going to live life, go to work, and do this on the side when I'm picking up everyone's sadness? And my guides told me to shut off my vision during the sessions. And that has helped tremendously. The energy still somehow goes through me. So I will feel uncomfortable. I can feel dizzy. The client can feel dizzy. We can feel nauseous. We can feel anxious. We can feel physical pain sometimes. But head pressure is a big one too. I usually yawn a lot as I'm processing and sighing. The client might as well. But after that's done, I go back to normal. The client leaves and I feel fine. I just do a bit of work and I'm okay again because I get affected by visions because they stay with me for a very long time, but feelings and things like that don't. So a lot of clients will say, well, what did you see? And I'll just be very honest with them. I don't want to see. There's so much leaving. I don't want to experience that. But I always tell them, if you are meant to know something that has left, something that's really going to help you move forward in your life, your guides, your higher self, are going to either give you a vision, give you a feeling or a knowing, a memory of what left in that session. So you're going to get what you need. The beauty of beam therapy is so much is released. There's so much energy released that is no longer serving you very easily from what I feel as it's leaving. And you don't have to replay it, relive it. Again, if you're remembering something, it's because it's something that you need to heal. So it's really quite amazing to see how different people are as they're releasing. Women tend to be a lot stronger in releasing because I don't know what it is about women. They just yeah, bring it on. I'm ready to let it go. When
Yeah.
men do beam therapy, they benefit so beautifully. I find they actually heal quicker with energy work. It's just the way they're made. They peel like an onion. But a lot of men, not all, there's a lot of men that say, wow, I never want to do that process again. I prefer the Reiki where I can relax and just allow it, the love to flow through. So it's very neat. I'm not saying, that's a generalization. Some women don't love beam therapy, and then there's a lot of us that really love that healing. The process itself is not the most comfortable. It's not like a Reiki session. But when we're done, I usually bring out a singing bowl afterwards just to kind of push the energy out a bit quicker. And we're brought back to where we're supposed to be, feeling very different. Some people feel it immediately. Others take a few hours. And there are a few clients that actually take a few days. And after the third day, they're flying high. Most people take a few hours, and some of us feel an immediate release and feel very good as we kind of reaccustomize to the new energy field there. In essence, from the work I've done with clients, we all have light and dark within us. That's part of humanity. It's the duality that we've lived in. There's nothing wrong with it, nothing to be embarrassed about, nothing to be, anything like that. That's just who we are. When we're working with these type of modalities, and there's other ones out there, they're all kind of like Reiki even does the same thing in a different type of way. We're releasing dense, dark energy from our field. It's the sadness, the experiences, the traumas, those abandonment. It's things we've seen, the things we've experienced, it's past life stuff. When that dense energy leaves, what happens is light is replaced and your light quotient goes up. So we start moving up the frequency, the vibrational scale. So it is a gradual progression. We can't go from where we are to 100% light or much higher light. Our 3D bodies are going through a process. So our 3D bodies have to adjust as we make these shifts in energy. So your higher self is always going to guide what you can handle. Some clients have miracles, like they come back after 2 sessions. Oh, I got a new job. I got a new boyfriend. Life is great. And I always go, wow, like, how does someone just transform so quick? Or their sicknesses are gone, or this is gone, or the phobia is gone. And there's others that, Brenda, I feel great, but I feel like I have so much more work to do. And I feel great again. And that was kind of my journey. So I used to laugh was when I see clients have these beautiful 180 shifts. I was envious, saying, how did they do it so quickly? And mine has been quite the journey. But what I realize is we're all coming from different places. Our souls have been through different experiences. And the best thing to do is just love where you are and be kind to yourself and forgive yourself and just accept yourself for where you are. And once you stop saying, I need to be here, and just saying, I am where I am, and where I am is perfect and evolving, it just kind of takes that stress away of really moving forward. And it just allows you to accept yourself and just surrender to the process.
Yeah, that sounds really beautiful. And even though it might be intense, and during the time that you're doing the session, it sounds like it has wonderful results and is very transformative and empowering in people's lives. So that sounds wonderful. Now, I'm curious about what kind of things you can work with beam therapy, because it sounds like there are many, many possibilities. So, what kind of things can people find healing with when they come for beam therapy?
Okay, that's a great question because some people will say, this is my issue, and they think that's their only issue, right? We're very multidimensional beings, and there's so much hiding in our subconscious. So, what you'll notice, if the reason we love, and this is the reason I love beam therapy so much, it's a catch for all. Oh, it's catching out everything that you need to release that's safe at that moment. We always heal in layers. So you can't go digging. You need to allow your higher self to bring up what's next, what's next, what's next. But I have seen allergies go away, phobias, illnesses. I had almost kidney failure. I had the beginning of cervical cancer. All that just healed on its own just with beam therapy. I started doing Reiki and things afterwards. The neat thing is weight loss is a big one. Like a lot of us have weight that's stuck on us for many different reasons. It could be something that is for protection. It's something we heard. How many of us been told, oh, it's not safe to be skinny. It's because our grandparents were in a war and you have to have a big, chubby, nice baby to be healthy. That stays in your subconscious mind. So as those beliefs that aren't the best beliefs, well meaning from the people who love us, once they start to break down, dissolve, release, all of a sudden your body feels, hey, it's safe to run normally. And it stops hanging on to food because it was told it was not safe. So our relationships improve. So it's not just physical improvement, although there's a lot of physical improvement. I've had clients who've had cancer go away or just actually gone into remission of or come back, kidney issues, lupus, MS, huge anxiety, like kids who are dealing with anxiety and depression, that melts away. But it's all just interference in your field that stops us from being who we truly are. The reason I don't put a lot of these stories on my website is everyone's coming in from their own experiences and their own unique healing and allowance. So when I'm sitting with someone and they want a miracle to happen, listen, we always ask for the highest and best. But for that person, it might be a gradual healing. So I don't like to set expectations because this work supports your healing in any way your higher self feels is appropriate for you at this time. And that is one thing that really can frustrate people along their journey. And I was one of those people. This isn't happening fast enough. But then gradually it does. So it can have improved confidence. And it's not just for people who are hurting or are depressed or sick. It's anyone who's in their life who just wants to break through a new limit. Like, for instance, life is good for me right now. I've gone through a lot of healing where physically, mentally, emotionally, I was not in a good place. So people say, why do you continue doing energy work? I said, because there's always a higher and best version of me that I'm aspiring to, because I have this pull in my heart that says, keep going. So I'll never give up on myself. I'll just keep going. But really, the healing process is personal. So I never put someone on a program. Sometimes one session is all they need to feel good and they're happy. And there's others that know they really want to push forward and they'll come for every 3 weeks. And I usually say, leave some time in between sessions. So it's really a personal call of your own heart on how fast you want to go if you want to do other sessions. So beam therapy is beautiful. It is run by your higher self, so anyone can use it. It's completely safe and a wonderful modality that saved my life. And I love helping people through beam therapy. So I do offer individual sessions. I do offer free consultations if you're not sure if it's right for you. For those who just want to get a feeling of energy work, I do offer free calls. They're group healing calls that are live 3 times a month. They're now running on Tuesday evenings. Yeah, my website has a bunch of information. A lot of my free calls are then uploaded to YouTube where people like to replay them and listen to them. Healing energy, although it's recorded, will work at any time in the future because we're dealing with a quantum field, which doesn't play by distance or time. And that's why video sessions work just as effective as in person. So thank
Yeah.
you so much for letting me talk about beam therapy. It's something I would love for people to really get to know and try.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's really great that you can do this remotely as well, because that will give so many more people a chance to connect with that. They don't have to be living where a practitioner lives. So that's very, very great. And to kind of finish off the episode, do you want to maybe talk about just quickly the difference between beam therapy and Reiki? Because I think that some listeners might be familiar with Reiki and they may have experienced that before or heard of it before. So how is beam therapy different to that?
Okay. It's very interesting. The only reason I can answer this, I'm answering it from my own experience. When a client comes in, we're just going to use someone who has cancer, and they come in and they have a Reiki session. I have seen cancer go into remission. If that person's life does not change, their thought process don't change, their love for their self doesn't increase, I usually see them back with another reoccurrence somewhere else. But what I've noticed is clients who have beam therapy start to release all that dense energy that causes their life to be where they are, and their life starts to improve with beam therapy. Those are the clients that don't come back with reoccurrences. So when someone's coming in with an illness and they just want Reiki sessions, that is what I'll give them. But I will gently talk them into beam therapy because those negative thought patterns, those blockages, those ways of thinking really are going to create the same conditions or something similar in the near future. And that is what I've seen over the last 10 years. So we really want to find that love for ourselves, let our authentic magnificence shine through, because when your life changes, your disease is created by unease of the mind. So when you start to change your thought patterns in a more positive way, your body responds in a positive way, and then illness just melts away. I have not had an illness in years, and I was a very sick person my entire life. Once I started to clear that negative thoughts I had about myself or that lack of love, and I started to love myself, my body has responded, and I'm very healthy by the grace of God. I found energy work and it's really helped me connect. And that's the difference. Also, from an energetic standpoint, there are different beings of light that come through with different sessions and with different clients. So it's almost like you're getting these beautiful beings of light that are specialized to work on the needs that you have at that particular time. So yeah, that can be confusing, and it's kind of something you don't have to fully understand. Just allow the love to do what it needs to do.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that perspective also. And the consideration of this mind body link, right? That we talk about so much, that a lot of the things that go wrong and the diseases and the illnesses that are created aren't just physical. There usually is another component to it, right? Which is often overlooked. And this mind body link really very beautifully kind of shows that there's a whole other side to it that we can address when we look at holistic healing. So, yeah, thank you for explaining that. And we will be linking to all of Brenda's offerings in the show notes as well. So be sure to check there on how you can get in touch with her if you'd like to work with her. And if you'd like to try a beam therapy session with her, you can find out there how you can get in touch. And this has been another incredible episode. And I really hope our listeners have enjoyed the journey into beam therapy as much as I have. It has been fantastic chatting with you on the podcast, Brenda. And thank you so much for your wisdom and your knowledge and the energy that you have brought today to explain this all to the listeners. I'm very thankful that you had time to share that with us today.
Yeah, my pleasure. Beam therapy is my baby. I hold true to the process in honor of Dr. Beattie. And, she saved my life. And if it can help anyone move forward in theirs, if you feel that calling, it's probably right for you. So thank you for having me.
Yeah,
and thank you to all the
absolutely.
listeners who listen. And I love talking with new people. And just so if you're new to energy work, there are no silly questions. I at one point knew nothing. So if you just want to chat for 15 minutes, I'd be more than honored to do that.
Amazing. And like I said, it's so much easier now to connect on this as well. We have all the technical setups. We have Zoom. So definitely it would be much easier to work with you now since you can do that online. So yeah, I hope that the listeners connect with you and that they find healing through beam therapy and they find some more avenues to support their own well-being. Thank you very, very much, Brenda. Keep shining your light, keep doing what you're doing, and take really good care of yourself.
Absolutely. You too. All right. Thank you so much, Petra.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to listen in. If you enjoy the Journey podcast, please subscribe, share on social media, and leave us a 5-star review. You can find more of The Journey on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and the Journey blog. Sending you love and courage, and see you next week.